curse. I can feel it. It's invisible, but it's always there. It comes onto us like nighttime.
I could feel myself in my bed, in my room, in this house, in this town, in this country. I was staring straight up at the ceiling, at all my model airplanes, hanging by their thin metal wires, floating, swaying very slightly like they were being blown by someone's breath. I listened like an animal. My listening was afraid of sound, tense. Like any second, something could invade me, some foreigner, something indescribable.
There's worse things than maggots, you know. Much worse. Maggots go away if they're properly attended to.
Every day I can feel it. Every day I can see it coming, and it always comes. Repeats itself. It comes even when you do everything to stop it from coming, even when you try to change it.
If you got someone around who can take the time, who can recognize the signs, who brings you in out of the cold, wet pasture and sets you up in a cushy situation like this. No lamb ever had it better.
Hello? Anything in there? We're not broke, you know, so you don't have to hide. I don't know where the money goes to, but we're not broke. We're not part of the starving class. Hello? Nothing. That's all right. You don't have to be ashamed. I've had worse. I've had to take my lunch to school wrapped up in a Weber's bread wrapper. That's the worst. Worse than no lunch, so don't feel bad.
One time I was out in the fields doing the castrating, which is something that has to be done. It's not my favorite job, but it's just something that has to be done. I was working away out there for a while when I feel this shadow cross over me. I could feel it even before I saw it take shape on the ground. It felt like the way it does when a cloud moves across the sun, but what hits me across the eyes is this giant eagle. Now, I'm a flyer. I'm used to aeronautics, but this sucker was doing some downright suicidal antics. He's real low down, like he's coming in for a landing or something, then changing his mind and pulling straight up and sailing out away from me. Like I could almost feel his feathers on my back. I could hear his sound real clear. A giant bird. His wings made a kind of cracking noise, and then up he went again.
A pop of metal. Dogs barking down the road, door slams, feet. Paper bag being tucked under one arm, paper bag covering Tiger Rose. Feet coming, feet walking toward the door, feet stopping, heart pounding, sound of door not opening. Foot kicking door. Man's voice, dad calling mom. No answer. Foot kicking harder, wood splitting, man's voice in the night. Foot kicking hard through door. 1 foot right through door, glass breaking, bottle crashing, fist through door.
I watched him a little longer this time. I was trying to figure out his intentions. Then I put the whole thing together.
It goes back and back to tiny little cells and genes, to atoms, to tiny little swimming things making up their minds without us.
He was after those testes. Yeah, those fresh little remnants of manlyhood. So I decided to oblige him this time. I threw a few of them up on top of the shed roof. And then I turned back to my work, pretending to be preoccupied. I was listening real hard for him, though. I do about 3 more lambs, maybe, and then all of a sudden he comes, just like a thunderclap. Blam! He's down on that roof with his talons taking half the tar paper with him. Brought me straight up off the ground, and I started yelling my head off. I don't know why it was coming out of me, but I was standing there with this icy feeling up my back, just yelling my fool head off, cheering for that eagle. I hadn't felt that way since the first day I went up in a B-49.
Man cursing, man going insane, feet and hands tearing, man's head smashing, man's voice, shoulder smashing, whole body crashing, woman screaming mom screaming for police, man throwing wood, man throwing up, mom calls cops, dad crashing away, back down driveway, car door slamming, ignition grinding, wheels screaming, first gear grinding, wheels screaming off downhill, sound disappearing, Packard disappearing, no sound, no sight, plane still hanging, heart still pounding, no sound.
It's in the air. We're surrounded with it. It's bigger than government, even. It goes forward, too. We spread it. We pass it on. We inherit it and then pass it down and then pass it down again. It goes on and on like that, without us.